Welcome back to Morning Ride. It is time for our newspaper review. This is where we take a quick look at the major stories on the front pages and examine what the newspapers are drawing attention to this morning. I think we can guess what the major headlines will be this morning.
Of
Well, let's
course.
look at them. All right, I have the Daily Trust newspaper. So we'll be starting with the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. On the front page of the Daily Trust, we have its major headline: how Osun election was won, lost. That is the major headline. Flood, residents stranded, vehicles submerged in Abuja. That's our FCT. Students, 4 workers die in Kano building collapse. 2027, Accord, AAC, SDP presidential candidates join forces against Tinubu. All right, that's interesting. $25 billion Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline dream drags. The $25 billion Nigeria-Morocco gas pipeline dream drags. Over 4,000 abandoned 9 pits. Over 4,000 abandoned mine pits in Plateau State, says Alake. Is that Alake? Let me see that right.
Yes, that's Alake.
Yes, Alake. Then teacher allegedly sets wife ablaze. Over the years, we talked about domestic violence, and we really don't know what's happening, but something needs to be done to stop it.
Yes.
And to make sure that perpetrators of such evil do not go
Don't go
unpunished.
unpunished, yes.
Teacher allegedly set wife ablaze. Then the last headline from the front page of the Daily Trust this morning says, policeman detained for shooting trader at checkpoints. Happy trigger policemen.
Trigger happy everywhere.
All right, those are the headlines from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Move on to the next.
All right, up next is the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper. And we have as a major headline, why Adeleke won again in Osun. Why Adeleke won again in Osun. Division in the APC. Governor Adeleke's regular payment of salaries. INEX conduct prompt upload of result on IREV. Adeleke declares no victor, no vanquished. Clashes with Kiyamo over support for Tinubu. That's the major story on the Vanguard newspaper this morning. On the top strip, EFCC recovers US $60 million in ongoing Nest Oil investigation. Wow, that's a huge one. Imports choke textile industry, rise to 1.1 trillion naira in 2 years. And for the downstream, we have Kwankwaso. I'm not bothered about spare tire tag for VPs. I'm not bothered about spare tire tags for VPs. Opposition parties must bury edges to defeat APC. Must bury egos to defeat the APC. Opposition parties must bury egos to defeat the APC in 2027. This one is coming from Duke. Concession of King's College. Parents mobilize for protest. Concession of King's College. Parents mobilize for protest. And ranching plan sparks fresh war between Governor Alia and the PDP. Ranching plan sparks fresh war between Governor Alia and the PDP. Accord, AAC, SDP presidential candidates join forces against Tinubu, calls for Nnamdi Kano's release. All right, that's it from the Vanguard newspaper this morning.
Now let's take another newspaper. On the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, the major story is Osun poll, how Adeleke won. That's the major headline on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Role of resolute Osun people, withheld LG funds, salaries, pensions, influence of Deji Adeleke, Davido, others. the Omoshore Ife Oshogbo connection. Tinubu says his victory confirmed electorate confidence in him. Atiku, Obi, Makinde, PDP, others congratulate him. Wild jubilation in many towns. We are studying election results, says APC. Adeleke dedicates victory to God. Osun people reiterate support for Tinubu. Those are the riders to the major headline on the Nigerian Tribune. At the top strip, ASU clears 2 varsities for strike over failed 2025 agreement. Top 5 transactions that attract withholding tax in Nigeria. Get details on page 14 of the Nigerian Tribune. El-Rufai sues ICPC for allegedly denying his family access to him. That's on page 24. 2027, Accord, AAC, SDP presidential candidates join forces against Tinubu. One would wonder how they joined forces. Are they going to, create a new political party? Or we don't know.
I think it has to be. It has to do with the coalition arrangement. All of this coming together. Maybe you're staying in your party, but they might want to use
one particular
candidate.
Okay,
maybe to push all of their support for one particular candidate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other headlines on the Nigerian Tribune says CSO warned against further delay in transmitting state police bill to state. Indeed, an NADDC NYSC flag off CNG retrofilling training for 300 core members nationwide. NADDC NYSC flag off CNG retrofilling training for 300 core members nationwide. That's the last headline from the Nigerian Tribune.
Right, up next is The Whistler. The Whistler is up next. The major headline reads, Presidency, opposition scramble for Adeleke after election victory. That's a major story. And underneath, Tinubu camp wants Osun governor to honor agreement. APC mulls court challenge of Adeleke's victory. Opposition wants to adopt Osun template in 2027. APC unsure of Adeleke's 2027 support. Osun election demonstrates Nigeria's democratic maturity, according to OT. And on the top strip of The Whistler this morning, FMBN targets $20 billion diaspora. $20 billion diaspora. That's on page 9. Remittances with new mortgage scheme sets 500,000 diaspora target for National Housing Fund. Can get that on page 9 of The Whistler. And underneath, OT approves 1 million naira each for 31 Abia returnees from South Africa. Medical academics issued 21-day ultimatum to federal government over outstanding demands. NSDC moves to unlock $1 billion investment, tighten import quota rules. All right. And still on The Whistler this morning, flood submerges homes, cars as torrential rain hits Abuja. 2027, no ticket can match Obi Kwankwaso, is according to Kwankwaso himself.
Okay.
No ticket can match Obi Kwankwaso, and it has been tagged the OK ticket. Yeah,
but I hope he is actually saying how many votes Oyebamiji polled in Osun State.
Yes.
Yeah. So he shouldn't just
definitely. I'm sure as he's talking, he should be ready to walk the talk.
Yeah, he should be able to walk the talk because maybe he's thinking that Nigerians are not happy with the present administration. But look at Osun State. Over 400,000 voters still voted for the APC.
Yes. So he has to walk the talk.
Walk your talk.
All right, 2027. Okay, we've taken that. El-Rufai files fresh 10 billion naira suit against ICPC. All right, that is that from The Whistler this morning.
All right, now let's look at The Guardian newspaper. The Guardian. Major headline on The Guardian says, Oshun polls. Opposition's victory relieves people power. Raises stake for APC in 2027. That's on page 6. EFCC recovers $60 million in ongoing Nest Oil investigation. BOI's maiden development bond oversubscribed in 5 days. Gunmen kill 4 in Benue as troops repel attack on Borno military base. That's a news page 9. So sad that, our troops, our military men are still being killed by gunmen.
Very painful.
El-Rufai files fresh 10 billion naira suit against ICPC for allegedly denying his family access to him. Get that on page 9. Stop blaming past governments for refineries woes, Atiku tells Tinubu. That's a news page 3. Oshun polls, Makinde, NGF, ADC, Huriwa, Jaiga Africa congratulates Adeleke. Get that on page 3. Resident doctors unveil new work regulation to check burnout. That's on news page 3 as well. I think this is very important.
Yeah.
ASU rallies federal government to lecturers' grievances, welfare demands. That's on page 8. And the last headline from the front page of The Guardian this morning says, Ministry partners states, private sector on livestock transformation. Get that on page 8 of The Guardian newspaper.
All right.
Next, The Daily Sun.
Okay. All right. Up next is the Daily Sun newspaper. The Daily Sun newspaper. And the major story reads, Tinubu, Obi, Oshun indigenes celebrate Adeleke's victory. Governor's victory affirms democracy, according to the presidency. Protect your vote in 2027, Obi tells Nigerians. Serap urges INEC, EFCC, ICPC to probe vote buying violence, wants AU UN intervention. And underneath on page 27, Hashim, Showore, Adebayo demand release of Nnamdi Kanu, Bichia, and Misiango. Wike slashes sea of all waiting time as FCT processes 26,272 files. APC, we are studying result of Oshun governorship election. That can be found on page 6. Blessing.
Yeah.
There's a possibility of going to court in this Oshun election.
It's the right
for the OPC,
Yes.
the APC to say, okay, we are studying what's happened during the elections.
Yeah, it's
so
the
there's
right.
a possibility
So
they might
if they want to go, then
Yes.
that's fine. As long as it doesn't hinder development in Osun State.
Yeah, of course.
That they have a right to go to court. They should go ahead.
No, the governor says work continues. There's no space to think about it. He's getting back to work.
Yeah,
Second
he's the
4 years.
incumbent governor, so
Yes.
of course he has a lot to handle
Yes.
Before his tenure runs out.
Indeed. All right. AI disruption. 9 million Nigerian jobs may disappear by 2030, according to experts. War against organized murder. Inside NAFDAC, customs battle against Nigeria's fake drug trade. UBEC opens second chance education pathway for out-of-school girls. This can be found on page 26. All right, I think that's the last story from the Daily Sun this morning.
Next is the Daily Times newspaper. On the Daily Times newspaper, we have as major headline, Adeleke's victory assurance of flourishing democracy in Nigeria, says Tinubu. Adeleke's victory assurance of flourishing democracy in Nigeria, says our President Tinubu. Writers, Governor promises support for President in 2027. We are studying results, says APC. Atiku, ADC, PDP, Kalu congratulate Accord candidates. At the top strip, local government polls, opposition parties boycott Bauchi election over fees and timetable. The local government polls, opposition parties boycott Bauchi election over fees and timetable. Nigeria's external debt hits $51.9 billion as Eurobond World Bank dominates. El-Rufai slams 10 billion naira suit against ICPC for allegedly denying his family access to him. I am not bothered about being a spare tire, says Vice. Okay, that's just from my Vice President.
That's Kwankwaso.
I'm not bothered about being a spare tire Vice President.
That's coming from Kwankwaso.
Okay.
That's,
his name is actually not written there, but
yes.
that's the headline on the Daily Times newspaper. That's all we have on the front page of the Daily Times.
All right, up next is the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper is next. And the major story reads, Adeleke extends olive branch. APC mauls tribunal challenge. Directly underneath, we have Tinubu hails Adeleke, commends INEC security agencies for credible poll. Atiku, Obi, Kwankwaso salutes governor on re-election, congratulates Osun voters. APC says tribunal will be explored as lawyers review poll results from 332 wards. All right, the results are posted there on the major stories, the major newspaper this morning. And from page 31, banks, fintechs flag 42,082 suspicious transactions to NFIU. That can be found on page 31. Osun woman found dead with severed hand inside church. Wow. That's scary. Tinubu bets on PH Warri refineries despite Obasanjo's doubts. El-Rufai demands family access, 10 billion naira damages from ICPC. Those are the major stories from the Punch newspaper this morning.
Now quickly, let's run through the New Telegraph newspaper. Major headline says, Osun Guba, the forces behind Adeleke's second term victory. I'll skip the riders, but that's the major headline on the New Telegraph newspaper. EFCC recovers $60 million in ongoing Next Oil investigation. CBN demand deposits up to 8.3% to record 39.78 trillion naira in first half of 2026. That's on page 25. Obasanjo leads senior citizens on walk in Abeokuta. We need to commend former president
Baba J.
Yes, Obasanjo. He's quite agile for his age, and that's why you should exercise. We should exercise
Very
now that we are
important.
younger, so that in our old age we can jump. I saw a video of him jumping down from a podium at an event.
That video, they say once a soldier,
Always
a
a soldier.
And during that times, they really did the rigorous trainings. I'm not condemning the trainings.
But aside from him being a military man, I think he's actually taking his health seriously.
Yes,
and you can see he's doing that. He actually led senior citizens on a walk in Abeokuta. All right, moving on. Benue. Terrorists kill several farmers in deadly attack. Downpour wreak havoc. Many houses submerged. That's a sad one from Benue State. Rainbow Coalition. Reconciliation Committee meets Fuba, agrees on modalities for peace. Says no one will be victimized. That's on page 5. Indeed, it's a Rainbow Coalition. 2027. Real reason I chose to be Obi's running mate, says Kwankwaso. Leadership degradation in Nigeria, devastating, says Ezekwesili. Restructuring will not lead to disintegration. There are details on page 2, 9, and 10 of the New Telegraph. And then the last headline from the front page. Okay, that's not the last one. I did skip a few at the top strip. Alleged denial to family El-Rufai files fresh 10 billion naira suit against ICPC. That's on page 27. NNPCL insiders exonerate Ojulari from awarding oil blocks. That's on page 2. Ripples over CJN's directive on removal of barrister title. Okay, lawyers ask CJN to clarify position on use of title. That's on page 14 and 16. Okay, I agree that we need some clarifications.
Yes, very, very important.
US ends temporary protection for 4 African countries. That's on page 5. Of course, President Donald Trump is still on with his reforms. And then we have the last headline from the New Telegraph. We have ultra-processed foods may raise prostate cancer risk in men. That's a study. That's on page 30. So men should avoid ultra-processed foods because it may raise prostate cancer risk in men.
All right, over to the Nation newspaper. Just like every other dailies we've taken this morning, the major story reads, Tinubu, Adeleke's victory shows deepening democracy. Victorious governor pledges support for president's re-election. Tinubu INEC gets kudos. Right, we talked about how swift the results were coming in from different polling units, how fast they were uploaded, and I want to urge INEC to continue in that path. If we get that in 2027, there won't be need for a lot of people to say, "Oh, I want to go to court." Although
there will be need.
APC, no, some will still go,
yes,
but not all. Right? You don't have a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want to go to court."
But I think uploading the results in record time or a good time is it's for Nigerians, not for political parties alone.
Yes.
And Nigerians will have more confidence if, as they're casting their votes, it is being
they go on IREV portal and see them
being updated.
Yes, it's a great one. And this one, the top strip reads, EFCC recovers $60 million in ongoing Nest Oil investigation. All right. You can find that in page 2 of the Nation newspaper. In defense of truth, in the fight against terror, the soldier protects the ground. The journalist must protect the truth. This is according to General Olufemi Oluyede, Chief of Defense Staff. Okay. Senator Yari commended for sponsoring the 2026 three-day annual leadership summit of the Nigerian artisans and technicians as they endorsed Tinubu 2027 second term with a pledge to deliver over 5 million votes. All right. Away from that one, Bowes Maiden Development Bond oversubscribed in 5 working days. Bowes Maiden Development Bond oversubscribed in 5 working days. Bank CEO attributes feat to president. That's it from the Nation newspaper this morning.
Next is the Matrix newspaper, the Matrix. And then major headline on the Matrix says, poverty, hardship, not evidence that Tinubu's economic reforms failed, says Budget Office DG. Reveals reforms have improved macroeconomic conditions. Cautions that 79% poverty figure needs proper context. That's on page. Let me get the page. Page 3. Okay, we'll talk about this headline when we begin to analyze some of them. Union Bank of Nigeria attains PIC DSS 4.0.1 certification. Adeleke, major headline says, Adeleke, my victory is for God, Oshun people. I'll skip the riders. NDLEA nabs India-bound businessman with 23 million naira cocaine shipment at Lagos airport. El-Rufai sues ICPC for 10 billion naira over alleged denial of family access. BB Nigeria season 11, Kamsi evicted after 3 weeks in house. Refinery crisis, take responsibility, stop blaming past government, Atiku tells Tinubu. Arsenal humiliates City 3-0 to lift Community Shield. Congratulations to all Arsenal fans.
Indeed. I think this is their time, Arsenal's time. Last season they won the Premier League and now they just won the Community Shield.
Yeah.
It's more like it's their time. Hopefully they can keep the momentum going.
I don't hope so. I was speaking like a true football fan.
Yes, yes.
For Chelsea fans,
Yes.
they are green with envy right now, and for Arsenal fans, they're bragging rights have just
the
increased.
celebration is on.
Yeah, so congratulations to them. I was
Yeah.
just kidding.
No, it's okay to be an opposition fan. I'm not an Arsenal fan. If I were to speak my mind,
Yeah.
I would say I don't want them to win anything.
But to be objective,
Yes.
all right, I think the best team should win. And if you look at Arsenal, like you said, this is their time. They've really
Yes.
put in the work,
Yes.
so they deserve to be winners.
Yes, they deserve to be where they are at this point. All right, that brings us to sports. Finally, sports, Punch Sport Extra, and this one, the major story here, right? Revival. I won't waste my Milan chance under Amorim, says Chukwueze. Yes, Samuel Chukwueze. He started his new life at AC Milan on fire, right? He's on fire. He's during the preseason, he scored goals. He gave assists, and he's been dazzling the media. And it's a good thing to see him in that position. Gala tipped to ascend Arsenal's £60 million for Victor Osimhen. Forest bid Awoniyi farewell. Forest beat Awoniyi farewell. Millwall sweats over Aziz injury. And for the WAFCON, Cameroon defeats Malawi 3-0 as the Lionesses claim first ever WAFCON title. Ajibade insists Falcons gave everything. Maguire urges United to keep Rashford. And also there's a celebration picture of Arsenal lifting the Community Shield. Arsenal 3, Man City 0. Gunners make new season statement. No Neto nears Stamford Bridge exit. Pedro Neto nears Stamford Bridge exit. Bayern silent days after Musiala's collapse. Yes, that there was a player that collapsed on the pitch, but he was later revived. But the beautiful thing about it was when the player was about to collapse, his teammate sighted him from afar and caught him. It was so beautiful. While I saw the game, it was so beautiful. The teammate sighted him. A new player that came into the team sighted him from afar, and he knew that he was feeling dizzy, and he had to run to him. And before he fell, he caught him from the back. It was so beautiful.
That is teamwork. That's how teamwork should be.
I still feel goosebumps when I talk about it, and it's so good to see something like that happen, because only God knows what could have happened if he had felt. Yes, so it's a good one. It calls for teamwork from every department of life. Anywhere you are, look out for your teammates. It doesn't have to be a football pitch. Just look out for your teammates. It's very important. And we have Nigerian boxer Ituama must fight biggest selling stars. Dolphins begin with WBPL title defense with 59-46 win. Boniface named under 19 Cricket World Cup qualifiers MVP. And finally, Barca seal Rodri Cancelo deal. Okay? Barca seal Rodri Cancelo deals. And that's it from the Punch Sports Extra this morning.
All right, those are our papers for review and analysis this morning. Major headline on most of the papers. Let's start from the major headlines.
Yes.
It's for Osun State. Even the Matrix paper has Adeleke, my victory is for God, Osun people. The Nation, Tinubu, Adeleke's victory shows deepening democracy. New Telegraph, Osun Guba, the forces behind Adeleke's second-term victory. The Punch says Adeleke extends olive branch, APC Malls tribunal challenge, Osun poll victory. That's the major one on the Punch. Daily Times, Adeleke's victory, assurance of flourishing democracy in Nigeria, says Tinubu. Daily Sun, Tinubu, Obi, Osun indigents celebrate Adeleke's victory. The Guardian, which is known for business news sometimes, still has this story as
Osun
major.
polls,
Osun polls, opposition's victory relieves people's power. raises stake for APC in 2027. The Whistler presidency opposition scramble for Adeleke after election victory. Nigerian Tribune captured it this way: Osun poll, how Adeleke won. The Vanguard, why Adeleke won again in Osun. And then lastly, the Daily Trust, how Osun election was won, lost. That is the major story.
Major story on every day.
All the
Yes.
papers
Yes.
that we have reviewed this morning. Earlier, we started our story when we talked about our trending stories. I think that was number 2 on
Yeah.
our trending stories today. We gave our congratulations to Osun people. So once again, we're congratulating Governor Ademola Adeleke and the people of Osun State. You went to the polls on Saturday. You casted your
And
vote.
you decided.
made your choice, and we're certain that the people's voices or people's
Were heard.
choices were respected. For political parties, maybe the APC or any other political party that has issues, well, respect the legal process. Go to court if you have any issue. And it's interesting to see that Governor Ademola Adeleke has repeatedly said it, and after his election, his victory
Yes.
on Saturday, he said it again.
Giving the olive branch.
No, okay, yeah, he's giving the olive branch, and I did mention that now that he has won, he's governor of Osun people, all Osun people, both those that
Everybody,
voted for him
yes.
and those that did not vote for him. So he has to, do what he has to do, take up his responsibility as governor of Osun people. But then he has also said he's reaffirming his support for President Bola Tinubu in 2027. He belongs to the Accord Party, so it's okay. I think the Osun people would also make their decision in 2027. But for the governor, he has reaffirmed his support for President Bola Tinubu.
Well, for me, I would say in a time where we have the APC taking over many